Hey there! I don't really have a proper intro yet, so let's just get right into it. Quick rundown for anyone who came here despite knowing nothing about Miraculous Ladybug. These kids were given magical items, usually jewelry, containing a magical being called a kwami. By saying a specific phrase, the kwami combines with the item and they transform into an animal-themed superhero with one weapon and usually one power. But because they're still young and inexperienced, they can only use that power one time before transforming back into civilian form after 5 minutes. It was established at some point during the show that aside from the box we see containing Miraculous representing the Chinese zodiac, there would be other boxes for other locations around the world. Something else that was confirmed is that there is a lion Miraculous, supposedly held by Hercules. Or Heracles, if you want to get specific. So back in 2020, at the peak of my obsession with this children's show, I thought, hey, you know what else is a zodiac and has a lion in it? The stars! And then I drew these and posted them on Tumblr. I started another redesign about a year ago, but I didn't fully finish much aside from the kwami. So let's get started, shall we? First off, the kwami. Since not all the signs are animals, I looked up animals connected with those signs or made one up entirely. Keep in mind, these were originally designed before the New York special, where the Native American box was introduced, so there's now a lot more animal crossover than I thought there would be. First, Leo. This one's a lion for obvious reasons. His name is Gur, and he grants the power of invulnerability. For 5 minutes, the hero is completely indestructible and feels no pain. It's a bit similar to Stomp's power from the show, becoming immune to magical attacks, but I made this before that episode came out, and it makes too much sense to change it. Slaying the Nemean lion was one of the 12 labors of Hercules, and wearing its skin made him invulnerable, so this power was kind of a no-brainer. His transformation phrase is Gur, join the pride. Cancer is a crab, like the constellation. His name is Snappy, and he grants the power of debility. When activated, it weakens the target's powers and physical abilities. The constellation Cancer is of a crab that grabbed onto Hercules during his fight with the Hydra, making the fight more difficult. In the myth, it didn't weaken him or anything, it was just annoying. But I can ignore that in the name of fiction. Snappy's transformation phrase is Snappy, latch on. Gemini is the first one that doesn't have an associated animal. The constellation is of the twins Castor and Pollux. So I googled animals associated with Gemini and got a deer. Unfortunately, it was later revealed that this is one of the Native American kwami, but I like the concept I came up with anyway. I decided to make it the Cyrenian deer, a horned female deer favored by Artemis. Catching it was another one of the 12 labors. Fawn is the kwami of perpetuity. She grants the power to halt someone's time, making them and anything on them unaging. Not the most useful with the 5-minute limitation, but something it's commonly used for is extending other heroes' time limits. Fawn's transformation phrase is Fawn, dash away. Sagittarius is a centaur, but we already knew about the horse Kwami by this time, so I decided to go with something else. A Sagittarius-related animal was the owl, but after doing more research, this redesign will change it to an eagle. And since the bald eagle already exists, this one's a golden eagle, which is one found in Greece. Sagittarius is the centaur Charon. He gave up his immortality to offer himself in place of Prometheus, who stole fire and was being punished by having his liver eaten every day by an eagle. Terry grants the power of exchangeability and can swap predicaments with the target. Whether that's changing places in physical space or transferring wounds is up to the user. Her transformation phrase is Tari Swap In. Libra is not an animal, so I found a related one. The raven is already in the Native American box, but I can fudge the details a bit by specifically calling it a white raven, because it's based on the myth of Apollo becoming angry with the ravens and scorching them black, when they used to be white and have beautiful singing voices. It's not an animal that exists outside of albinism, but the dragon isn't an animal that exists at all, so there. I really wanted to play with how specific these powers can get, so Ka can either know the true answer to any one question, or force any person to tell the truth for 5 minutes, never both at once. Usually Miraculous can only do one thing, but Long has 3 elemental powers, so let's just say Ka has 2 truth powers. His transformation phrase is Ka White Noise. Virgo I had as a bear named Fuzz originally, due to the same reasons as my picks for Libra and Gemini, but I decided to change that. Now Virgo is a lizard. The constellation is either Demeter or Persephone, so I went with Demeter, who has lizards as one of her sacred animals. I'm basing it around the myth of Ascalabus, a young boy who made fun of a disguised Demeter and was turned into a lizard as punishment. This Kwami's name is Jiri, and she grants the power of mockery, which allows the user to disguise themselves as any one thing for 5 minutes. This includes both living things and inanimate objects. Jiri's transformation phrase is Jiri, disguise me. Taurus is a bull, specifically the Cretan bull, father of the Minotaur. Hercules was tasked with catching it as one of his 12 labors. I couldn't resist naming this Kwami Bessie. He grants the power of immobility, which allows the user to create an impenetrable prison around the target. I like to think that this is how they kept the Minotaur out of the way while constructing that labyrinth to do the job instead. Bessie's transformation phrase is Bessie, Rampage. Fun fact about the star signs is that they all have an assigned Greek element, and Aquarius is, in fact, not a water sign. It is an air sign despite being the water bearer. And another fun fact, the figure in the constellation is male. Ganymede was a guy, sometimes a prince, depending on the interpretation, whom Zeus kidnapped in order to be his cupbearer in Olympus. skipping over some things about Ganymede's father not being the greatest, he got fed up with that and upturned every liquid container in Olympus, making it rain for days and flooding the earth below. In a rare instance of Zeus not being the absolute worst, this was enough to convince him to let Ganymede go free. I picked a water bird to keep with the air sign having a water motif, and seagulls represent perseverance in the face of terrible circumstance. This Kwame's name is Drizzle, and he grants the power of autonomy. His power only works when the user is trapped or has their path blocked by some physical object. When activated, it turns the obstacle into water. Drizzle's transformation phrase is Drizzle, make it rain. Pisces is a koi fish, like the two in the constellation. It's based on the myth of Aphrodite and Eros escaping the monster Typhon by transforming into fish. The Kwame's name is Ripple, and they grant the power of perplexity. This creates a tangible duplicate to be used as a distraction while the user escapes. The duplicate disappears once the user is out of danger. This duplicate is much weaker than the original, but also much quicker, making its use as a diversion better option than using it to attack. Ripple's transformation phrase is Ripple, time to swim. Scorpio is a scorpion like the constellation. It's based around the scorpion that killed the hunter Orion, also a constellation, with its venom. This Kwame's name is Sting, and he grants the power of lethargy. It causes the foe to instantly drop into a dreamless sleep. Think passing out instead of passing on. This sleep lasts indefinitely, but can only be used once before countdown begins. Sting's transformation phrase is Sting, tail up. Aries the constellation is a ram, but that's just a male sheep, so this one's a sheep. And that's perfect because I can make Aries the golden fleece, one of ancient Greece's most well-known MacGuffins. I named the Kwame Fleece, and she grants the power of remedy. She can heal any injury or ailment once before the 5-minute countdown begins. Her transformation phrase is Fleece, fluff it up. Last but not least, Capricorn is a goat. For some reason, the constellation is depicted as a goatfish hybrid, but there aren't any actual myths from ancient history about that, so I'll just stick with a goat. Obviously, Ziggy is a goat, so I'll make this one as different as I can. I decided to call him Pan and just straight up make him an aspect of the Greek god Pan. He grants the power of anarchy, which causes the targets to panic and become disoriented. This is because Pan invented panic. His transformation phrase is Pan, climb up. And that concludes the Kwame redesign. A few notes: I made sure all the signs had some sort of cohesion with others from their element. All the fire signs have this specific shade of red on them, all the air signs have these turquoise eyes, all the water signs have blue eyes, and all the earth signs have this shade of yellow on their bodies. In part 2, I'll redesign the heroes and talk more about their inspirations, miraculous, and weapons, as well as designing their civilian forms, which I have not done yet. Comment, like, subscribe, yada yada, you know the drill, and I'll see you in the next video.